I think it's a beautiful thing. I didn't want any in the first place.
Oh, really?
I love all the love and attention from my parents.
You did get that, didn't you?
I sure did.
Yes.
Okay. Ooh, perfect
You
segue
surely
into
did.
first conversation.
Have you been coddled?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Why are
So-
teachers upset about this?
Okay, so
One
there's one
specifically.
teacher in Texas who is up in arms, Walter Gray,
Just
about
like that.
just
Literally
like
up in
this.
Literally. Okay.
About parents who are apparently coddling their children. It's so bad, in fact, that she posts about 7 pictures on a Facebook post that went viral.
The teacher did.
The teacher did, talking about the way these kids are behaving in class and how their parents are responding to that. So she had a broken bookshelf, gum stuck to a window ledge, gum, books put inside of books, breaking the binding, and so books are falling apart. All of these things are happening in their classroom, and so she approaches a parent about this, and the parent reams her in front of the child.
Sure.
And in that moment, the teacher said, you know what? I am sick of this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to educate your child. I'm trying to educate a room full of children with a lack of resources, and now I don't have the respect of the parent to at least help me in training these kids to behave in the classroom. So the question that people are asking is, did the teacher go a little bit overboard? Does she not know how to discipline her own students in class, or is this really an issue of parenting your child? Those are the options.
Well, as the once famous philosopher once said, here's the thing.
Well, that philosopher being
Mr. Rodnex was, okay, 30 kids in the class, the teacher has a problem with one parent. There's still 29 parents who are still pretty cool, I'm guessing in that. Now, I've been coaching baseball, basketball, and soccer for a while, so I'm kind of in tune with what's going on there.
Okay.
You will have parents who don't necessarily see things the way that I do,
Correct.
or a teacher will. And so I'm kind of knee-deep in that right now.
Okay.
And so people have certain perceptions of how their kids should play, where they should play.
How
my
often
kid,
they
why
should
is my
play.
kid not playing and some of these other kids are playing? And I have to say, because the other kids are good.
just good, not even better, just straight good.
I mean, the other kids are but you phrase it in a certain way of, at this time, we have certain players who perhaps have developed a little more rapidly than your son has. Not to say that your son won't get there, but at this time, this is where I see things, and this is where it is.
Reality.
But I mean, yeah, there's always going to be a parent in a class. There's always going to be a parent or two of a sports team player, and you're going to have to deal with them. It doesn't mean that the other 29 parents are bad or feel the same way, but as a teacher or a coach, you have to expect this, and you have to deal with it in a professional level where it doesn't escalate. Because it's already, when it's brought to your attention or there's the confrontation, it's a powder keg that could blow at any second. And it's on me, I think, to just go, I appreciate your feedback, and this is how I see things right now, and we probably just don't disagree. I would say this, the next time that happens with me, I want to make sure that there's an assistant coach nearby who can back up, because there's no telling what someone who's disheveled about our conversation could say or make up about that. I just have somebody nearby who's not like right there, but can verify the fact that I didn't hit someone, swear at someone. And I think that that's good to have that. Rob, why don't you back me up?
Can I
say
say really
everything I
quick
just
from our
said.
viewers?
Well, I think bringing in a second opinion, I think that's why the teacher's really frustrated, because where's her backup?
Exactly.
So, I mean, clearly you can't have broken bookshelves. If all this damage is caused by the students, I don't know the age of the students. There's some wiggle room if there's certain ages where maybe they don't necessarily know, but if they're clearly at the age where they know that this is wrong.
What age do you think it's okay to bust books up?
Oh, if they're like 3 or 4 years old or something like that.
Oh, no, they're definitely
not busting
older
books.
than that.
But like putting things away, they're not consistent about it. They may know they're not consistent. If they're 12, they know. They know what's up. So, she's just looking for backup, because being a teacher can be really lonely. I mean, you're in there. I mean, think about it. Every day you're in a room with 30 kids. We'll just assume it's around 30 kids. And you've got to educate them. You've got to discipline them. You've got to listen to them.
Yeah.
You've got to be a role model.
Yeah.
I mean, if you blow your top in front of 30 kids, They don't see you the same anymore. I used to be a substitute teacher, and I definitely had moments where I was not level-headed in some of my responses with discipline because I was young. I was 22 years old, and these kids were mouthing off at me. It's like, what are you supposed to do? And you're the sub, so you don't really have a whole lot of power.
The sub has no chance.
True.
The sub has
I had
no
no
chance.
chance.
Right.
Exactly.
Unless they're the cool sub that lets you just watch movies.
But the
Whenever
coddling
the TV would
thing.
come rolling in,
And
with
you're
the,
like,
strapped.
Full sub.
The VHS, pop the VHS.
Sorry, we digress.
Here's the coddling thing. I think this happens subconsciously in some ways.
Okay.
So I think the parent doesn't really realize that they're doing it until it's either pointed out or there's a moment when they realize, oh my gosh, I just became that parent.
If
That
they
parent.
do.
Just the other day, I put my daughter in a lesson to go skiing. This is the truth. She was definitely better than the other kids because it was their first time. She'd been a couple times before.
Okay.
So I felt like toward the end, okay, this is just kind of a waste of her time. So I jumped in. I was that guy. I said, do you mind? Can I just take her for a couple little things here within the group? Or is this too much? And she's like, no, go ahead.
Please.
Yeah, we'll spend more time with them.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, go for it. But I realized, am I coddling right now? Am I being helicopter dad / intervening with her lesson with her other students? I mean, I had this whole grapple within myself because am I helping or hurting the situation? And to this day, I don't really know if I was helping or hurting. I just felt this movement,
call.
this momentum that I needed to
Yeah.
do something, and maybe that happens more often in school.
But the
wonder
difference-
I wonder if the coddled child is the child of a coddled parent.
That's
Oftentimes
interesting.
it skips generations.
I would say that as well.
Just from past stories I've done where it's because they weren't coddled enough. They feel like, well, you know what? I want to be that parent who was always there, and then doesn't know how because they were never taught.
Yeah.
So then they overdo it, and then that next generation will be, God, I was so coddled. I was so with a helicopter parent, around me all the time. So then they become less, and it's sort of like you can never get it right.
Right. Who knows the real answer to this? But I think the real difference between the scenarios that you guys brought up with a talent level that maybe somebody has or giving your child access to something, these are students that were behaving badly.
Right.
Not that just
Sure.
aren't good at baseball
Right.
or you want them to
Right.
learn skiing quicker. These
And
are
if
kids
one is
that
allowed-
This is
put
not up for
iPads
interpretation.
No,
This
they
is
put
a
iPads
fact.
on the floor instead
Yeah.
of putting them away.
Right.
$100 headphones in a corner instead of putting them on the shelf where they should go.
Right.
Breaking a shelf that could have cost, say, you're making it an IKEA bookshelf, $100.
I thought the initial foray into this wasn't necessarily the misbehaving child, but the parent
parent
who's
who's
not
complaining.
backing up and not realizing it's a misbehaving child, and the parent now is the problem.
So
Is
the
that
parent
somewhat
is
of
the
it?
problem, but in our comments, people are saying that a lot of parents, this is Dan Cooper, a lot of parents do enable their children when they don't hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Parents make it the job of the teacher to raise the kids, not just educate.
That's a widespread belief, I'll tell you that. And a lot of people feel that way. And that my kids' teachers in elementary school and in middle school, they have a handle on it. And I go in there and sometimes I'll help out with a party or it's a theme day or something or breed books or something. And the kids are acting up and the teacher will go, and the kids know that means bingo.
on.
Yep.
Everybody
Right.
like freeze or stand still or return to your seat. And I'm like, wow, tight ship.
And some teachers are just good teachers. They know how to lead, right? Teaching is leadership at the end of the day. Some are good, some just aren't that good at it. And so I don't know, I'm not saying this teacher was good or bad, but maybe she needs to get a better handle of the kids in some way. I mean,
Right.
I'm not saying I'm not an educator and I'm
Right.
not, I'm not practicing this field, but she's one example. You can talk to a lot of my high school teachers who absolutely knew how to lead us, knew how to not be our peers, but how to speak to us in a way where we wanted to respect him or her.
It's like
Right.
good parenting.
Right.
Right.
At the end of the day,
And does
you
it
don't
come
want
with the
this teacher
guidebook?
to have to have that responsibility to parent your child, but at the same time, aren't you their teacher? Isn't that teacher their teacher? There are so many ways that
got
you can
into
have a role
this.
model in your life, and
Yeah,
that
you chose
teacher
the
is with
profession.
you arguably for more time when
Right.
you're awake than your parent.
And we don't know the full extent of how this really went down because our
Exactly.
interpretation is that she's trying to discipline them, they're not listening, and the parents are backing up the kids.
Right.
There may also be a situation where this is passive aggressive. She told them once not to do that, they keep doing it, she's taking photos, so then now she's in the right, they're in the wrong, she has overwhelming evidence, but she didn't really directly engage these students in that you can't be doing this because some people don't like to have confrontation, even with kids. We don't really know that part of the story, but that may be something that's going on because let's just say if my kids were behaving badly
Yes.
and I'm the parent and then no one really told me that, or no one told my kid that directly, then the parent could be mad. Wait a second, why are you getting all mad? This is the first I'm hearing about it. So where were you when all this was going down? That can be an honest reaction to something that, even though your kid is in the wrong.
Well, so this teacher is saying something that I wonder if a lot of teachers out there are experiencing, that the administration in her school is going to side with the parent every time. So while she has gone out of her way to help her students in excess of their classroom time prepare for their homework or do their assignments, there are still 8 to 10 assignments by a majority of her students that aren't completed at home when they should be. And so she's saying, not only is this impacting the experience in the classroom, but there's something going on at home that doesn't allow these students to thrive.
Yeah.
And it's not just her.
Yeah.
So she's saying at the end of the day, she doesn't know how much more she can say to the administration when they're going to not back her up at the end of the day.
Right. I'm curious to know, what the statistics she's talking about when she's throwing numbers out there, where this is. And
In Texas?
So in Texas, where specifically, I don't know, is it what kind of neighborhood? What are we talking about? Because you do have to treat each class of students, meaning like each whatever different class that they are in, first grade, second grade, high school level, depending on the neighborhood they're from. I mean, each one deserves a different kind of TLC. So I don't know, maybe the way in which she's doing it, the principal or the administrators are saying we have bigger fish to fry, and that's maybe what's happening outside of the classroom. I don't know.
So then it poses the question, though, if our students are being treated differently because of a certain neighborhood that they're in or a certain school district that they're in, shouldn't all of our kids receive the same quality of education, the same resources?
Quality, yes, but I'll say, as my father was an educator, he was in ROTC department in a different part of town in Southern California, right? This was where there was a higher pregnancy rate, where a lot of the parents didn't even exist in these kids' lives. My dad was seen as the father figure to a lot of these students, where he's in a new school district now in our part of town. We're from Rancho Cucamonga, middle class America, and that's not the issue. Now it's the overbearing parent. And he's like, wow. And that's miles apart.
There's always a big challenge, whether you're a teacher at Granite Bay High School or you're a teacher at Grant High School. You have different sets of challenges.
So to your question, should each one be given the same quality? Yes, the same quality, but the way in which you go about teaching and giving the attention has to be different, because they're coming from different experiences. That's my takeaway from it. But again, I don't know what this classroom was like in Texas. I do want to say that there was an update to this teacher's post. She's like, thank you everyone for the words. Clearly she's been getting a lot of encouragement, because she's saying, wow, in retrospect, she's saying, if I could go back, I would like to point out that I might have said some things differently. For one, I would have pointed out that I have many amazing, hardworking, respectful students who show up every day and give their best, and also many supportive, loving parents. For them, I am thankful and hope I haven't offended, but my frustration was also in their belief, because the actions of some are hindering their educational experience. Then she goes on to say, first I would do this, second I would do this, third. So, of course, like social media, right? We put everything out there, not expecting it to go viral. And then it does, and you're like, oh, what did I say? I'm not speaking on behalf of all teachers. I'm not speaking on behalf of all students. But she does say she's a woman of faith. She's been quite reflective this week on the good that I can bring to this world because of this experience. So she seems to be a bit in a better place after she was...
It's like a magnifying glass. It can help give you clarity. You can see more. Also, in the wrong light, it'll burn you. I've decided as soon as possible to start blogging my feelings on all of the above, and hope many of you will join me in the discussion. If we all work together, we can make the changes we need for our collective success.
See, what I need in life is another blogger in this world.
She's not saying that.
Another blogger.
Another blogger in this world.
I mean, I know we ask you to come here.
People clearly want to read what she has to say.
When it comes to our education and parents and how they parent and teachers and how they teach, people are passionate about this, because we all have that. We know some student who's being taught by a teacher right now.
Here we go. Sam Brady.
Okay.
Bad kids equals bad parents. Not a big surprise that the parent acted irrationally. Should have gone to the principal, but probably already left for the day. Very little resources with increasing class size. This is just a warning for what's to come for teachers.
I mean, it's sort of a blanket statement. Not every good kid comes from good parents. I mean, I know a lot of good kids out there who are like, dang, that parent is so lucky.
Right.
Exactly.
They got that good student. And I know great parents whose kids just kind of bad. So
the world is very complicated with nuance. There's not one statement that basically answers all questions. I think once you go with one thing, you're you're immediately opening yourself up to all
not
the
that black and
variables.
So
Right.
Lauren Rombach, she says that there is a reason why there's a national teacher shortage. When you combine low wages, disrespectful parents and students, and a lack of administrative support, nobody wants to do the job. That's
I get
valid.
that.
That's valid, and that has a major impact on the quality of education of our students moving forward. And if we don't address it, what are we doing?
It's just how society is. I hate to be blanket, but that's how it is. I mean, I might want to be a teacher in a more rural environment where you don't have the inner city challenges, but then, you know, then in terms of you teaching in a rural environment, what kind of income are you making? I think your
Are you
dollars.
doing it for the money, or are you doing it for the passion?
There's
Right.
so much trade-off where if you teach in an inner city school or an inner city private school, you can actually draw a fairly decent salary. So I don't know. You have to pick your poison in all. My mom was a 5th grade teacher forever. So I've heard a lot of these stories.
Yeah. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more stories just like this one, all you got to do is hit subscribe.